anytime he's available, Arteta does tend to find a slot for him, whether it is right back or whether it is left back. We saw before this last injury for Tommy, he was starting games ahead of Zinchenko, who was fit at the time.
Tommy's probably bar Saka, my favourite player in the squad. I love Tommy Yasu. I like players, especially fullbacks, that are just consistent. He gives you 7 out of 10. He'll never be man of the match, but he'll never be the worst player on the pitch as well. He's just 7 out of 10 every single game. So I like him anyway. But my concern about this contract is the injury record. So as much as I love him, he's not played, I mean, I don't know the stats, but I'd imagine 60% at Arsenal. Since he's been at Arsenal, has he played more than that? That's a lot of time out. Probably, exactly. So giving him a contract with that record slightly concerns me, unless you're resigned to the fact that he's just going to be a cover player and he'll come in when he can. But the injury record does concern me.
Do you know what's interesting? He only signed till 2026 with the option of another year. So I think they factored in, because usually we give 4 or 5 year deals out, wouldn't we? So the fact they've given him 2 years.
And who was linked to him recently? Italian club?
Bayern Munich.
German club, so Bayern Munich. So that probably protects that as well, even though you're right with the risk of it. You also don't want to risk losing him.
Squad player,
he fits in centre back, left back, right back, and like you said, he's one of those guys that gives you 6, 7s minimum.
Just consistent
and he can give you 8, 9 consistently. I look at Ben White the same. I mean, we're talking about players of the season. I don't think Ben White enters that category, but I think Ben White is heavily underrated. One of my favourite players, like you said with Tommy. He's shown everything. He's shown he can overlap as a right back. He's shown he can invert as a right back. He can slot into a back 3. He can slot into a back 2. He's literally done everything in that right back role, and I think it just goes under the radar. But long may that continue. The more players that perform well and goes under the radar, I'm happy with that. And Ben White's one of them. But yeah, it seems that Rice is in a good.
The fact it was sitting there, I've said Rice, but you could pick 5, 6 players.
We haven't even mentioned Odegaard.
If we was to come back and beat City, I feel that's such a huge turning point. That will give them the confidence to say, right, you know what, we can go to United. I know we've had a horrible record there. We can go to United and win. We can go to Spurs and win. We can go to Brighton and win. You know what I mean? I think it will give them that. If they lose against City, then all the doubts come back. People, you know what I mean? I think if we lost against City, we're really up against it. It's not over, but we're really, really up against it. I think if we beat City, that's why that game is so huge. If we draw against City as well, that's not a bad result.
And I feel that this year they're a bit wary of us. But that does mean with City, they're going to step up their levels. They're going to step up their levels for that game. This is going to be a huge game.
You have to be ready.
It could be, if Arsenal could win this game, for both teams, it's a turning point game.
Man, definitely.
If City win the game, it's a turning point for them.
Yeah.
If Arsenal win the game, it's a turning point for them.